Okay, this recorded session is to help you with the concept of solving equations using several transformations. Okay, and remember, we're solving, so we want to be working in opposite order of operations. So we're going to undo addition and subtraction before we undo multiplication and division, before we undo exponents or anything in parentheses. Okay. So I've got a couple problems here. And the first thing that you want to do is find your variable. N is being multiplied by 5 and having 9 subtracted from it. And so those are the two operations that you need to undo. And you're going to undo the last one first and then undo the first one. Okay. So the last thing that happened to N was 9 was being subtracted from it. So that's the first thing I'm going to undo. So the opposite of subtracting 9 is going to be adding 9. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. That's going to get rid of that. So on the left I have 5n, and on the right I'm going to have 80. Now I'm going to need to undo this multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. So when I divide by 5, that's gone, and I just have an n. And 5 is going to go into 80 16 times. It's going to go into 8 once with 3 left over. It's going to go into 36 times. Okay, now in this problem, remember you have this fraction in front of the variable. So it's the same as if this were 2 times x divided by 3 minus 5 equals 7. So the very last thing that happened to the variable was that minus 5. So that's the first thing I'm going to undo. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I have 2 times x divided by 3 is going to equal 12. So now I'm going to undo that division. So the opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. That's going to get rid of that. So I'm going to be left with a 2x on this side. And 12 times 3 is 36. And then I'm going to undo this multiplication by dividing both sides by 2. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to have x equals 18. So now, when you're solving equations, you should always know if you have the right answer, because all you have to do is go 2/3 times 18. So 18 divided by 3 is 6, times 2 is 12. So 12 minus 5, if that equals 7, and last time I checked, 12 minus 5 was 7. Since that came out to be the same on both sides, and that's the correct answer. So there should be no reason why you would ever get a wrong answer when you're solving equations, because you can always check your work by putting your answer in. Okay, now on this problem, if you were to put a number in here for y, the first thing that happens to y is you would add 3 to it, and then you would have this answer here being divided by 5. Now, although it isn't written in the original problem, because this fraction bar goes over this entire quantity, it is actually working as parentheses. So the order of operations is still going to hold true, because you are going to undo this division before you undo what's in parentheses. So these parentheses are understood to be there even though they're not written there, because this addition happened first before this division. Okay, so let's get rid of that division. We're going to multiply both sides by 5. That's going to get rid of that. So I'm going to have y plus 3 equals 10. And now I'm going to undo this addition. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. And I'm going to get y equals 7. Okay, now on this problem, I have an m here and I have an m here. And so I have to do a little bit of work before I can start solving because I don't have a single variable. In this problem I had just a single y, here I had a single x, here I had a single n. And so before I can start solving, I have to simplify this side. Got to clean it up a little bit. It's too messy to know what it is I have to do. So I'm going to start by distributing that 4. So that's going to give me 4m plus 32 minus 3m. And now I have to get my m's together. So I have a 4m and a negative 3m. So this is going to give me a positive 4 and a negative 3 is going to give me a positive 1m, or just an m. And now that I've gotten all my variables together, I can start solving. And so really, the only operation that I have happening to m, which wasn't really obvious from the start of the problem, is that I have an addition to undo. The only thing happening to m is 3 is being added to it. So I'm going to undo that by subtracting 3 from both sides. And a negative 2 and a negative 3 is going to give me a negative 5. And that's it. That's all there is to that. Now, I put a couple of word problems in here that have multiple transformations that happen to them. Okay, a company added a new oil tank that holds 350 barrels of oil more than its old tank. Together they can hold 3,650 barrels of oil. How much does each tank hold? Okay, so they're going to add the old tank and the new tank to hold a total of 3,650 barrels. Okay, we don't know anything about the old tank, so I'm going to let that be my variable. So this is n. And what we know about the new tank is that it's the old tank plus 350. Okay, so when I combine my like terms, I have an n here and an n here, so I have 2 n's plus 350 equals 3,600 to n 50. So I need to undo my addition first. I'm going to subtract 350 from both sides. Bring down my 2n. And then I'm going to have to undo this multiplication. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So I'm going to get that 2 goes into 3 1 time. 2 goes into 13 6 times with 1 left over. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So the old tank held 1,650 gallons. And the new tank, which is n plus 350, should equal 2,000 barrels. So if I add those together, that gives me the 3,650. So that works. Okay, this one involves a rectangle, so I'm going to start with a diagram. A rectangle's length is 8 more than 3 times its width. So if this is the width, this is 8 more than 3 times the width, and then 8 more than that. And the perimeter, which is twice the length plus twice the width, equals perimeter. So here's my length. So 2 times 3w plus 8 plus 2w equals 128. So I have more than one variable here, so I'm going to need to get all my w's together. So I'm going to distribute that 2. So 2 times 3w is 6w. 2 times 8 is 16 plus these two w's. I'm going to put my w's together, so this is 8w plus 16 equals 128. Then I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So 128 minus 16 gives me 112. Yep, 112. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 8. That's going to get rid of that. And I'm going to get that w equals 14. And then to find my length, I'm going to put this back in here, 3 times 14 plus 8. And so 3 times 14 plus 8 is going to give me 50. So this is going to equal 50. And so if I were to just check that real quick, just a mental check for perimeter, 50 plus 50 is 100, 14 plus 14 is 28. So 100 plus 28 gives me that 128. So that works for that. And so my length is 50. And my width is 14. So those would be my answers there. Okay. I believe that's all I have for this session. So you're going to undo your addition and subtraction before you undo your multiplication and division, and before you undo anything that has exponents or anything that has parentheses. So I hope this session has been helpful, kind of giving you some guidelines to guide you through some of these a little more complicated problems. If you have more than one variable on one side of the equation, you need to be sure that you combine these before you start solving. This is simplifying, simplifying, and at this point you start solving. I hope you have a great day. I hope the session was helpful. Bye-bye.